All right, let's talk about fiscal policy today, which is going to be the focus of a lot of our lectures. So, fiscal policy, this is the federal government use of taxes and government revenue to affect the economy. John Milton Keynes is pretty much the person we see as who begins fiscal policy. We talked about Keynesian economics and the Depression yesterday. So we're going to look at, again, this is government. So the government using taxes and revenues, laws being passed. This is the government who is doing this. Senators, president, etc. So there are two goals. They are to increase aggregate demand and also to fight inflation are the two main goals. Well, let's take a look at the two main things, which are expansionary fiscal policy, which is putting more money out there, like the balloon getting bigger. You put more money out there. More money, people hire people. It's used to stimulate a weak economy or when there's a recession. And contractionary fiscal policy is used to reduce aggregate demand when inflation is becoming a problem. We're going to talk a lot about how fiscal policy mainly affects unemployment and inflation. And for especially if you like John Milton Keynes, who came up with these policies, they would say that if you put unemployment and inflation, you can put them on the opposite side of a scale. Inflation means more money is getting out there. Things are getting more expensive. However, with more money getting out there, you can hire people, so therefore unemployment would go down. However, things would get more expensive because there's a lot more money, people have jobs. Then you would look at, on the opposite end of that, if we had inflation went way down, things are not getting more expensive, it's not that bad, but unemployment, however, would go up because the economy is not growing. So some of the fiscal policies, like you kind of got to balance both a bit. So let's take a look at the first one here, which is expansionary fiscal policy. And this consists of increased government spending, decreased taxes, or both. Again, most often used in a recession. For example, a government may contract to buy new roads, and this will increase spending. This could provide jobs to people. And this new money leads to what is called the multiplier effect. So this new money leads to a multiplier effect where people have more money in their pockets. They can spend more. If I have a job, I can now go to the movies, I can go out to eat, and maybe that means the movie theater can hire someone and the restaurant can hire a new waitress and cook. And that just creates more and more money out there. So this would be, again, expansionary, wants to get more money out there. If you hire people, more money's out there, and employment goes down. However, inflation would go up because things would get more expensive because there's more money out there. Now, so let's look at supply-side economics first. Supply-side economics. This happens when taxes are cut for businesses. If taxes are cut for businesses, the belief is in supply-side economics is that you could hire more people. So when we talk about tax cuts, if you cut the taxes for business, they hire more people. Oftentimes that could make sense. So it's supply-side economics, and this would cause growth. Now, some arguing that is like, well, maybe big businesses will just keep the money. But, you know, I would also say if you do give it to a lot of small businesses, they probably do want to hire people as well. So we can argue back and forth on that one. But supply-side economics is the belief that if you cut taxes for businesses, they will hire more people and grow the economy. Now, on the opposite is demand-side economics. Demand-side economics is if you put money in people's pockets, like if you cut taxes for individuals, not businesses, they'll spend more money, and this will create a multiplier effect, which will then go out, like we talked about, going to the movies, going to restaurants, and the businesses will get money that way, and this will also help the economy grow. So some people are more believers in supply-side economics, some are more believers in demand-side economics. However, both increase aggregate demand. Both cause growth in the economy because aggregate demand goes up, and both, according to this, would lead to inflation. Now, let's take a look at aggregate demand. For example, in a recession. No, I lied. Let's skip that one. I'm going to go right to multiplier effect. Sorry about that. Let's look at the multiplier effect and look at your textbook on page 281. So page 281. We can see there, we see the multiplier effect. We see we got a guy, the federal government decides that they're going to, hire someone, pay someone $1,000 a week's wages to a teenager for building trails. They're like, trails are good for people. They like parks. It's Good. So we also have a recession right now, so let's put some money in people's pockets. Maybe this teenager will spend it. Actually, teenagers spend a lot of money they get. So a teenager saves $300, but then they also spend $700 on a bicycle. So now we see 1,000 plus 700 gives us 1,700. The bicycle owner shop takes $200 of that 700 he gets, puts in the bank, then takes that 500 and goes and fixes his car, which he wasn't going to do. And now we see 1,700 plus 500 is 2,200. The mechanic then takes his $500, puts $100 away, and spends $400 to hire a painter to paint his fence, maybe another teenager. Now we see $400 there, and it's $2,600. Suddenly our $1,000 has been used for $2,600 in aggregate demand. So the multiplier effect is pretty much dollars are used more than once. When you put money in people's hands, there's a multiplier effect because we spend it somewhere else. We're going to look at this in the test ticket in a little bit. We're going to look at this and how we do the multiplier effect. Now let's look at the opposite. Let's say things are going really well for unemployment. Aggregate demand is way up, way up. Aggregate demand is going up so much so that we have another problem. Prices are just getting more and more expensive all the time. Things are getting super expensive. People can't afford it because people have been, there's low unemployment. However, inflation's the problem right now. Gas prices are crazy. Everyone's complaining. So how do we fight this inflation problem? This is where we would have contractionary fiscal policy. So, contractionary fiscal policy, how does that work? It is basically a decrease in government spending. So we would cut a lot of these programs. A teenager who had that job, $1,000 to fix trails, might be let go. So we stop building roads. We stop building parks. There's also what we do is we increase taxes. We increase taxes. So this is like a vacuum cleaner sucking money out of the economy. And this would stop inflation, and inflation would go down. So this is something that is incredibly unpopular, that politicians don't want to do. But Keynes would say, if you're going to have the expansionary fiscal policy, you're going to have the contractionary fiscal policy when times get good. He would have wanted this policy in the 1990s, for example. Or if you're a politician, because 1990s at times were pretty good economically. Now, if you're a politician, you could campaign on that. I'm going to raise taxes, and I'm going to cut programs. Good luck getting elected because people don't want to hear that. So, this is to lower aggregate demand, and by lowering aggregate demand, what would happen is inflation would go down. Inflation, prices would start dropping, things would not be as expensive. All right, let's look at what we're going to call automatic stabilizers. So, there are actions our government can do. So our government has, they can build new roads, they can raise taxes, lower taxes. But there are also some things that just happen automatically. So automatic stabilizers are types of automatic fiscal policies. They don't require new laws or acts in Congress. These are the results of net taxes that change as GDP changes. And net taxes are taxes minus subsidies, transfers. Just think about taxes for a minute. We'll just keep your mind on that for just a moment. So here's an automatic stabilizer. One way of taking money out of the economy for inflation. This would be people, as your wages go up, as you make more and more money, what happens to your taxes individually? Let's say you go from making $30,000 a year to making $150,000 a year. Do you pay the same percentage in taxes? No. If you make more, you pay more taxes. So as people make more tax money gets taken out of their check. So what happens is as you make more money, taxes get taken out. So as more money gets put in the economy because you're making more money, some of it gets taken out and gets into the government. That's an automatic stabilizer. So increased taxes for increased wages does take some of that money out of the economy, and it helps fight inflation a little bit. That would be an automatic stabilizer. Your increase in pay, that would be increasing aggregate demand because you have more money. However, the taxes that get taken out take some of the money out. So your increase in pay is actually like you're individually expanding the economy a little bit because you're getting paid more, you're putting more money out there. But the taxes taken out is a little bit of contractionary because it's taking some money out of your taxes. That would be an automatic stabilizer. Unemployment compensation. So someone loses their job. Someone loses their job, that can hurt aggregate demand, can't it? Someone loses their job, they're not getting paid, the multiplier effect's not going to be there anymore from their salary. It can hurt the economy. It does hurt the economy when people lose their jobs. However, one stabilizer we have that's not going to make it so bad is you might get unemployment compensation for that. You get unemployment money which comes in. So that means like, losing your job, that's very much would lower aggregate demand. That would be very contractionary. But then the unemployment compensation pushes it back a little bit, puts it back to expansionary just a little bit. Those are two good examples that you want to think of for automatic stabilizers. Think of the taxes as they go up. I'll just give you two examples there. As your money goes up, more money gets taken out, and if you lose your job, unemployment comes in. I guess I could think of a few more. Food stamps could be one. If you're not making enough money, there's food stamps to put on top of that. Would also be another good example of an automatic stabilizer.